20 years ago, mysterious spiritual ruins gates appeared on the planet Blue Star. From them poured spiritual energy and monstrous beasts, throwing the human world into chaos. From that chaos, spirit warriors emerged, people who awakened supernatural powers from the leaking energy. Among them, the rarest and strongest were spatial spirit warriors. The first spatial spirit warrior in Lingzhou, Li Mingshan, used his spatial abilities to fight back the beasts and restore peace. From then on, people believed that spatial power was the strongest. 20 years later, Li Mingshan continues to serve as a guardian, and this day, when he senses a ripple in space, he immediately goes to investigate. The disturbance leads him to the Jiangcheng City Welfare Institution, where a 16-year-old boy named Jin has just awakened a spatial ability, becoming the second person in Lingzhou to do so. Seeing this as an opportunity for publicity, the institution's director has already arranged a press conference to present him. In front of the press, the director brags and instructs Jin to demonstrate his power, but the result is underwhelming, as Jin can only create a small, unstable portal, far from the legendary feats of Li Mingshan. Just then, to everyone's shock, Li Mingshan himself appears, drawn by the spatial ripple, and the onlookers immediately assume he has come to take Jin as a disciple, urging Jin to follow him. However, Li Mingshan only glances at Jin before leaving without a word, making it clear that Jin's talent is too insignificant for him. And as a result, the reporters lose interest, and the event ends in disappointment. Later, the system evaluation confirms this outcome. Jin is labeled an E-rank talent with a level cap of Dark Iron 1 star, the lowest possible rating. And, as a result, he is discharged from the orphanage and forced to make his own way in the world. Even so, Jin does not give up and continues to hold on to his dream of becoming a powerful spirit warrior. So to pay his tuition for the Jiangcheng Spiritual Warrior Academy, he takes on multiple jobs, delivering food during the day and running a street vending stall at the bustling Jiangcheng night market at night. That evening, after securing his preferred spot, Jin enthusiastically begins selling his Red Delicious brand swimming trunks, attracting a crowd by using his identity as a spatial power user and a student of the academy, and even demonstrating the trunk's supposed durability against spatial forces. However, his sales are suddenly interrupted by an aggressive vendor who claims the spot is his, arguing that he occupied it the previous day, and the situation quickly turns physical. When the vendor throws a punch, Jin instinctively opens a portal and redirects the blow back onto him. And taking advantage of the moment, Jin inspects the man's merchandise and accuses him of selling counterfeits, which is immediately proven when a dissatisfied customer arrives with a faded swimsuit and demands a refund. However, the vendor shifts the blame onto Jin, and the customer insists that they all go to the management office. While trying to calm the situation, Jin accidentally causes the customer to fall and bleed from the nose, which enrages the customer. Furious, he transforms into a bear and begins brutally attacking Jin. Jin is beaten and eventually thrown to the ground. He reflects on his endless struggles, and at that moment, a drop of his blood falls onto the vending cloth beneath him, triggering the ultimate street vending system. A voice echoes in his head, announcing that the system has been activated and rewarding his 3 years of vending experience with one free lucky draw. And with the bear about to strike again, Jin accepts, causing the lottery to land on a consolation prize, a strength potion that grants him 10 times his normal physical strength for 3 days. A surge of power flows through him as he stops the bear's punch mid-air, drinks the potion, and retaliates with a single punch that sends the beast man flying and cracks the ground, drawing cheers from the onlookers, who are impressed by his sudden strength. Now filled with confidence, Jin approaches the defeated man, who lies naked in a crater, and calmly gives him a genuine pair of trunks to demonstrate their quality. The humbled man, named Wu Lang, blushes and asks to become friends. Just as Jin turns to leave, Wu Lang suddenly shouts that Jin is losing his hair, and when Jin touches his head, he realizes he is completely bald, causing him to flee home in shock, where he summons the system again. It explains that the baldness is a side effect of the consolation prize, and shows him better, side effect-free items, such as the metamorphosing fruit, which can improve his innate talents, but require redeem points he does not have, encouraging him to continue vending to earn them. Despite the humiliation, Jin feels a sense of hope, as the system gives him a second chance to overcome his limitations. Stepping out of his window, he looks at a sign featuring Li Mingshan, and makes a vow that, one day, everyone will know his name. But at that very moment, a girl suddenly crashes through the sign, breaking it, and falls directly on top of him. A flashback shows a man named Alexander running through the streets while several officers chase him down. In his hands are a basket and a strange injection that clearly means everything to him. Just before the officers catch up, he throws the basket into the air and a snake jumps out of it. But in the next second, it transforms into a girl named Katerina. Alexander tosses the injection toward her and tells her to escape while he stays behind to fight the officers himself. Katerina rushes through the city but suddenly crashes through the Li Mingxian sign and lands directly on Jin. The impact destroys part of his roof, sending debris flying everywhere, and during the chaos, the injection slips away and falls into one of the cartons below. Katerina notices where it lands, but the officers are already close again. She has no choice but to flee and leave it behind. Right after this strange encounter, Jin receives a notification from Vending. It explains something unbelievable. Every negative emotion directed at Jin turns into redeem points. Anger, frustration, hatred, all of it becomes currency. For every 10,000 points, he earns one lottery draw. Jin instantly realizes how broken this ability is, and right now, his biggest goal is obtaining the metamorphosing fruit, a rare prize capable of rebuilding his meridians and improving his talent. It could finally free him from his E-rank limitation. But there is a catch. A guaranteed formal prize only appears once every 100 draws. Jin quickly does the math and realizes he needs 1 million points. Then he thinks about the perfect source to collect those points, and that is Jiangcheng Spiritual Warrior Academy. The moment Jin arrives at the academy, points begin pouring in non-stop. Students glare at him with disgust, while the system happily counts every bit of negativity. Instead of staying quiet, Jin makes things even worse by loudly bragging about becoming stronger. And as a result, Principal Wang, who already dislikes Jin, announces a surprise spiritual warrior test for all students. Jin immediately sees opportunity. Before the test begins, he goes back to his usual business and walks through the academy taking meal orders for a cafeteria owned by Madame Zhou like he owns the place. Luckily, his arrogant attitude annoys nearly everyone, and the points keep rising. Then comes the test itself. Jin steps in front of the testing machine while the entire academy watches. Nobody expects much from him, but the second he throws a punch, the machine explodes apart completely. Silence fills the area. Jin does not just score high, he destroys the machine with raw power alone. Shock spreads across the academy. Principal Wang stares in disbelief while the students burn with jealousy and frustration. For Jin, it is the perfect harvest. Seeing everyone desperate for strength, Jin launches another scam immediately. He claims his sudden power comes from magical water taken from an ancient well in his hometown. What he carefully hides is the terrible side effect attached to it. Students rush to buy glasses of the water from his vending machine, hoping to gain power for themselves. The result is a disaster. Hair starts falling out all across the academy. Panic spreads everywhere, while the students completely lose their minds. At the same time, Alexander secretly leaves Katerina in snake form inside Jin's room, and her mission is simple: wait for Jin and attack him. Meanwhile, Alexander heads straight to the academy himself. Jin is busy organizing lunchboxes. Beside him is a massive kettle of soup. Alexander attacks. He fires a poisoned needle toward Jin, intending to kill him instantly, but the attack misses. Instead, the needle lands inside the soup kettle. Neither Jin nor anyone else notices. Soon after, Wulang arrives to help deliver the meals. Students and teachers happily eat the food from Madame Zhou's cafeteria, including the poisoned soup. Within moments, people start collapsing unconscious one after another. To make things even worse, Wulang tastes the soup himself just to confirm the problem and immediately passes out too. The entire academy falls into chaos. Before things calm down, Alexander finally confronts him directly. He demands that Jin hand over an unknown item, and a fierce battle erupts instantly. Alexander's ability allows him to absorb and redirect Jin's attacks, making every move dangerous. The fight intensifies so much that even Principal Wang gets involved. That brief distraction gives Jin one opening. In desperation, he activates his spatial power and teleports Alexander high into the sky before slamming him back down to the ground. With Alexander defeated, this becomes another opportunity. After collecting massive amounts of points, he finally reaches 100 lottery draws. The reward looks disappointing at first, but it turns out to be exactly what he needs. The system gives him the antidote soybean, a cure capable of neutralizing every poison. Jin quickly distributes the antidote and saves the entire academy, but the antidote has one horrifying side effect: severe diarrhea. The entire school ends up running around in complete humiliation. Jin starts enjoying his new fame as the spatial spiritual warrior who saved the academy from poisoning. The attention, along with all the hatred that comes with it, helps him finally reach his biggest goal. He uses Vending to obtain the long-awaited metamorphosing fruit and immediately eats it. The effect is instant. A massive surge of spiritual energy rushes through his body, reforming his meridians and unlocking his full potential. Along with the fruit, Jin also receives several strange consolation prizes from his 100 draws. One of them is a pack of zodiac animal biscuits, where each biscuit carries the power of a different Chinese zodiac animal. Another reward is an absurdly bright green hat with a tiny living bean sprout growing from the top. The hat comes with a terrible side effect. Anyone who looks at Jin while he wears it feels irrational anger and suddenly wants to punch him. Later, Jin heads to a hot pot restaurant with Wu Lang to celebrate. As usual, Wu Lang orders an insane amount of food, but Jin quickly realizes he has no money to pay for any of it. While calling Madame Zhou for help, he casually leaves the zodiac animal biscuits with Wu Lang. Wu Lang eats one biscuit and starts behaving exactly like a dog. He runs outside and pees on a nearby car without realizing who is inside. The people inside are Ying Su, Jin's childhood crush, and her best friend Xiao Yao. The two girls enter the restaurant, and Jin finally reunites with Ying Su after more than 12 years. But the meeting goes terribly. Xiao Yao, who is a beast-morphing spiritual warrior, instantly dislikes Jin. Meanwhile, the green hat on Jin's head keeps irritating everyone around him, making the atmosphere even more awkward. Yingsu also seems upset with him because of a promise he failed to keep years ago. The uncomfortable reunion quickly falls apart, and Yingsu decides to leave with Xiao Yao. But before things can calm down, Alexander suddenly appears at the restaurant. He demands that Jin hand over an unknown item before attacking both him and Wu Lang with spiritual binding handcuffs. While trying to figure out what Alexander wants, Jin opens his spatial storage and searches through his cartons. That is when he finally discovers the missing burning blood injection hidden among his things. Jin hands the injection over to Alexander, hoping to end the fight peacefully. But then, he accidentally mentions Katarina's name. The moment Alexander hears it, he assumes Jin is hiding Katarina somewhere. He immediately attacks again, forcing Jin and Wu Lang to escape. In desperation, Jin gives Wu Lang another zodiac animal biscuit. This time, Wu Lang gains the overwhelming strength of a bull, allowing him to smash through obstacles and carry Jin away from the restaurant. The escape turns completely insane from there. Wu Lang keeps eating one zodiac animal biscuit after another, transforming into different zodiac animals while running through the streets. Each transformation gives him a new ability that helps them survive Alexander's relentless pursuit. During the chase, Yingsu and Xiao Yao spot Jin riding on Wu Lang's back behind their car. Xiao Yao tells Yingsu to stop and speak with him, but the moment the car stops, Wu Lang leaps straight over it with Jin still on his back. Alexander is not as lucky. He crashes directly into the car and gets knocked unconscious. Seeing him injured, Yingsu and Xiao Yao decide to take Alexander to the hospital. They also collect the burning blood injection nearby, assuming it belongs to him and might be medicine he desperately needs. At the hospital, Alexander remains unconscious. Meanwhile, inside the emergency room, Jin and Wu Lang are still trapped in the spiritual handcuffs. A doctor uses a chainsaw to cut them apart. Right after they are freed, Jin notices Xiao Yao and immediately asks about Yingsu before leaving to find her. The second Xiao Yao shows the burning blood injection, Wu Lang panics. At the same moment, Alexander wakes up and desperately starts searching for the injection. Elsewhere in the hospital, Jin finally catches up to Yingsu. The two awkwardly try to speak at the same time, both wanting to say something important after all these years apart. But before either of them can continue, Alexander suddenly attacks again. Chaos erupts around them, and Yingsu remembers a moment from their childhood when Jin promised that he would always protect her. Then she opens her eyes and finds herself handcuffed to Jin inside the back of a moving car. A flash flashback reveals that 10 years earlier, during the spiritual calamity, countless children lose their families and become orphans. One of them is a young Jin. Even at 6 years old, he dreams of becoming a spiritual warrior. He constantly fights bullies to protect weaker children, usually ending up badly beaten himself. Jin's biggest inspiration comes from a book called 30 Skills Tells You How to Be a Spiritual Warrior. The book teaches him that a true spiritual warrior protects the weak no matter what. Jin takes those words seriously and follows them even when nobody appreciates his efforts. At the same time, Yingsu grows up completely isolated. Her cold expression and quiet personality make adoptive families avoid her again and again. One day, a teacher gives her a special candy box and explains that beautiful things can hide beneath an icy shell. From then on, Yingsu starts building emotional walls around herself to avoid getting hurt. To survive, she develops a habit of challenging the strongest person wherever she goes to establish her place. That pattern continues until she meets Jin. Unlike everyone else, Jin protects her without hesitation. He throws himself into fights for her sake and takes brutal beatings without asking for anything in return. For the first time, Yingsu lowers her guard and begins relying on someone else. Jin becomes the one constant in her life, but everything changes when Yingsu awakens her fire abilities. The powerful Zhang family adopts her, separating the two for the next 12 years. Back in the present, Jin and Yingsu remain trapped together in spiritual binding handcuffs inside Alexander's moving car. While Jin desperately searches for a solution, Vending reveals a new system feature. Jin can now convert his accumulated stall fees into skill points. He spends everything on an unlocking skill and instantly pushes it to the master level. But the system twists things in the most annoying way possible. Instead of unlocking the cuffs directly, it simply fills Jin's brain with complete lock-picking knowledge while giving him no actual tool to use. Meanwhile, Wu Lang and Xiao Yao realize Alexander has stolen their car. Using the vehicle's GPS, they track him to an abandoned warehouse. Inside the warehouse, Alexander threatens Yingsu while holding both captives at his mercy. Jin immediately tells Alexander to kill him instead, trying to protect her even now. As tensions rise, Alexander prepares to attack Jin with a chainsaw. That is when Jin suddenly removes his ridiculous green hat. The bean sprout growing on top has become long enough to use like a tool. Jin pulls it off and uses it to pick the lock on the spiritual handcuffs. The second they are free, he grabs Yingsu and escapes using his spatial ability. But before they can fully get away, Wulong and Xiao Yao arrive at full speed and crash straight into the warehouse, slamming Alexander into a wall. A massive battle immediately erupts. Wulong transforms into a bear while Xiao Yao takes on a dog form. Yingsu unleashes her fire abilities and Jin attacks with his spatial powers. Together, the four finally fight Alexander head-on, but Alexander is still overwhelmingly powerful. Every attack they launch gets absorbed by him and fired back even stronger. Yingsu eventually releases a powerful burst of flames at Alexander, hoping to finish the fight. Instead, Alexander absorbs the fire and multiplies its strength 10 times before sending it back toward her. At the last second, Jin jumps in front of Yingsu to shield her. The flames hit him directly, but nothing happened. Vending immediately explains why. Jin is standing on his vending cloth, making him completely invincible while he remains on it. Furious, Alexander charges at him again. That is when Jin finally counters. Using his spatial ability, he teleports Alexander high into the sky. Then, he pulls out his 6 nuclear bomb drink and dares Alexander to absorb its power. Alexander accepts the challenge, but this time, the energy is far beyond what his body can handle. A massive explosion tears through the sky, completely overwhelming Alexander's absorption ability and finally defeating him for good. And as the fiery explosion spreads across the night sky, Jin tells Yingsu to look up and watch the meteor shower. The explosion creates a breathtaking shower of light overhead. It turns out that years ago, before Yingsu got adopted, she asked Jin to watch a meteor shower with her the following night. But while desperately trying to awaken his spiritual powers, Jin got severely injured and never made it to their meeting. Yingsu spent all those years believing he simply abandoned her that night.
And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and feel free to write whatever you want in the comments section. Thank you for watching.